Welcome everybody to a new video. Today we are doing a tier list of my favorite genre, Japanese RPGs. So we have about, I think it's 58 in this list. These are RPGs that I specifically have played. So we're going to be missing probably a lot of people's favorites. I have not yet gotten around to playing, let's say, the Dragon Quest games, for example, but we still have, I think, a pretty good variety of things right here. And I just want to say this is just all my personal opinion. If you're sensitive that people have a different opinion, you might want to just leave right now. And also, we're not going to be talking too extensively about any one game because we will be here all day because there's a lot to get through. So we have different tiers right here. We have Masterpiece, Amazing, Great, Good, Meh, Trash, and Burn. I created the Burn tier for one game in particular, by the way. So anyways, let's get started. It's kind of like in alphabetical order and also by series. So we're going to start with C, Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is, of course, an amazing game. I'd say possibly even a masterpiece. The problem is I've only done one playthrough, and I know there's a ton of different endings. There's New Game Plus, all that kind of stuff. I think eventually I want to go back and play a lot more, and maybe it will get upgraded to Masterpiece, but for now I'm putting it in Amazing. Now we have Final Fantasy 1. I played it on the PSP. It was kind of like a remaster, borderline a remake, and this was good. It was a good game. I think it holds up pretty well, actually. Final Fantasy 7. Now we're getting into like people love Final Fantasy 7, and you know what? I agree. It was in fact an amazing game. I played it not even like that long ago. I think I played the original around when the remake was announced around that time, and yeah, it was pretty fantastic. Final Fantasy 10. Controversial opinion. I thought it was a great game, but not amazing. And I know it's a lot of people's favorite, and I can see why, but I also have a few things I didn't like about the game. Some of the required mini games, the Blitzball, was super annoying. I was just like, man, I just want to go back to playing the game. The whole like skill grid system was very interesting, but if you kind of made a mistake and went in the wrong direction, you'd have to spend hours and hours like course correcting, like, oops, I guess I should have gone in this direction. Now I have to do tons of grinding, which wasn't the worst, especially if you're playing on PC where you could do fast mode. But yeah, there was a few things I didn't like, but the story was very good. And now for a very controversial game, we have Final Fantasy 13. And this is going to sound crazy, but I really enjoyed it. I'm going to put it in great. Maybe not above 10, but I really thought it was better than a lot of people said it was. Vanille was very annoying though. Let's not misconstrue that, all right? All right, so now let's move on to the Fire Emblem series. I'm going to start off with Mystery of the Emblem on the Super Famicom. Did not come out over here, but I did play an English patch. This was kind of meh, honestly. It was extremely tedious. I wouldn't say repetitive so much as tedious. You'd spend like 2 or 3 hours on one map. You'd lose a unit, and since there's permadeath, it's like, are you gonna go the rest of the game without this unit you spent all this time building up? Or are you gonna reset this map that's taken you like 3 hours, right? It was extremely tedious, and I didn't really like it that much, but I did, however, a lot more. So like Fire Emblem on the GBA, this was the first one to come out in English. I thought it was much better. A few issues, but I liked it a lot more. Now we're moving on to the modern era of Fire Emblem, where they introduced a casual mode with Fire Emblem Awakening. And Awakening was in fact absolutely amazing. I'd even put it just a tiny bit above Final Fantasy VII. The thing with Awakening is I played on Classic. I didn't play casual mode at all, but there was a lot of quality improvements here. And also, I love Lucina. She is my waifu. Just saying. Next, we have Echoes. Not a lot of people talk about this game, but it's actually amazing, I promise. If you played Awakening and then skipped to Fates, you missed out. All I'm saying. And as for Fates, ooh, yeah, it's not that good. It's like okay at best. In fact, it's kind of bordering on being trash. There's so many issues, such as the fact that to get the full story, you have to buy 3 games and then play 3 games, one of which is not even available anymore because for some reason they made the 3rd game digital only and you can't even download it anymore. Yeah, there's just tons of problems, bad localization, not even just talking about the censorship. Like that's a whole nother can of worms. But yeah, the localization itself, terrible. Now we have 3 Houses, perhaps the best one. Perhaps the best one. It was pretty amazing, honestly. Now, let's move on to an independent kind of game. And by independent, I mean there is only one game. It's not a whole series. It's its own standalone thing. We have Freedom Wars, and I thought this was pretty great. This is an action RPG on the Vita. Eventually came out with a remaster for PS5. So yeah, it was really awesome. It's very Monster Hunter-like. If you like Monster Hunter, please check out Freedom Wars if you have a PS5. I heard the PC port was not stellar, but maybe they fixed it. Right, now we have Hyperdimension Neptunia, Rebirth 1 and Rebirth 2. Rebirth 2, a little better. These are remakes of the first 2 Neptunia games, and they were pretty good. Nothing too special, a little bland at times, a little repetitive at times, but you know what? They were pretty good, and I want to continue the series with playing Rebirth 3. Now then, Kingdom Hearts. I have unfortunately only played the very first Kingdom Hearts game. I know that sounds crazy, because usually people will play like all of them. But this was actually a pretty great game. In fact, I'd probably put it... do I put it above 10? No, we'll leave it right here, right in between these 2 Final Fantasy games. Yeah, it was really good. It was a great game, and I would like to continue the series eventually. I played like halfway through Chain of Memories, and I wasn't really digging the gameplay, but I really should finish it. Alright, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Great game, as well as Partners in Time, which I actually thought was a little bit better. A lot of people trash on Partners in Time, not sure why. I never really saw any like video essay thing explaining why people thought it was terrible, but I don't know. I had a good time. It has been about 20 years though, so maybe I'm wrong. Okay, now for the Mother/Earthbound series, we have Earthbound Beginnings, and this was great. Now you have to really be in the old school mindset because it is a very old game. Lots of random encounters and all that kind of stuff, but you know what? This was really special when it came out, for sure. And even better than that is, of course, Mother 2, aka Earthbound, which is actually the first one that came out here, and Earthbound Beginnings came out much later. For this game, it's very special to me personally, so I'm going to put this a couple spots higher. Again, just my own opinion. And now we have Mother 3, the first thing to go into Masterpiece tier, because honestly, there's like hardly anything better than Mother 3, because like, come on, if you've played it, you know. Alright, now we have Paper Mario 1. This was actually my very first RPG ever, and I would say this is the perfect beginner's RPG. introduces you to a lot of the ideas and mechanics of what an RPG are, while also keeping it fairly simple. And this is just the perfect game to start with. And the follow-up was in fact a masterpiece. It was amazing. At first I was like, oh, maybe it's just nostalgia, because I played it when it came out. Like, I played this on launch. I was like hyped for it. I read about it in Nintendo Power at the time. But I played the remake on Switch and I was like, nah, this game is still amazing, actually. So we're putting it in Masterpiece. And as for Super Paper Mario, the very strange third game, we're gonna put this in Amazing, because it was like shockingly good. I was like, oh no, they changed up the gameplay. But there was still a lot of great stuff about Super Paper Mario, so we're putting it there. As for the fourth game, yeah, we have a tier just for this. Burn It, an absolute abomination unto mankind. The worst thing I've ever played, probably. It was that bad. It's like go watch the video Chugga Conroy did. It's like 2.5 hours long, explaining how bad the game is, and it's a very like concise video. So it's like 2 straight hours of trashing on the game, pretty much. All right, moving on. We have Phantasy Star. This is actually a pretty great game. I'd actually maybe even say amazing. Super ahead of its time. There's so much great about Phantasy Star 1. I played this on the Master System without a guide, made my own maps and everything, played it very old school like, and it was great. I only had to look up one thing, which is the final dungeon, because if you played the game, you know why. However, Phantasy Star 2, bro, it was kind of trash. I was so disappointed. They got rid of just about everything I liked about Phantasy Star 1. I won't go into too much detail because we'll be here for quite some time. But if you played the first one and then followed up with the second one right away, you know the disappointments that happened. However, a lot of people really like Phantasy Star 2. And to that I say, good for you. Now let's move on to the online games. These were overall good. I didn't play them super extensively. It's an MMO RPG, so it's kind of hard to have played the entire thing. But it was good. Pretty solid overall, I would say. Same thing goes for episode 3, which is a card game. I actually kind of had a little more fun with this one. I'm gonna put it higher. I know this is a crazy take. I'm gonna probably put it up here. But I liked the, you know, the deck building and the cards and all that kind of stuff. It felt a little less repetitive and tedious than the first 2 episodes. But as for the next game, Phantasy Star Portable, it was really hard to say. I'd actually probably put it in the meh tier, but a little above the others. It was kind of similar to online episode 1 and 2, but it was not even online. It was lacking a few things. The story was all right. It was just kind of like an okay game overall. I heard the second one was much better, so I should play that. As for Online 2, not Episode 2, but Online 2, this game was in fact great. I played this for at least 100 hours just in Japanese before it even came out over here, because it took a long time for some reason. Had a fantastic time. Also played it when it came out in English. Haven't played all the content because obviously MMOs are very extensive. Alright, as for all the Pokemon games, not gonna lie, they're all kind of meh at best. I'm a little bit of a Pokemon hater because I see the potential the series has and they just keep fumbling it over and over again. I love the concept, but you know, it's just lacking in so many ways, and they have such a budget and they just don't want to use the money they have to make something that's truly awesome. So it's just kind of a disappointment. Again, if you love Pokemon, good for you. I just see all the wasted potential. That's the problem. All right, moving on. We have Star Ocean First Departure, which is a remake It's a remake of Star Ocean 1. And I hated this game, man. I hated it. It's one of those where do I go and what do I do kind of games. I spent a vast majority of the time just talking to every single NPC, just trying to figure out like what is the next story point. The random encounters are brutal. There's way too many random encounters. And the battle system's not fun. Like if the battle system's not fun and there's too many random encounters, that's already a huge blow to the game. But that, in addition to the fact that there's just like no direction, like you could talk to every NPC in every town and still not have even a clue of what to do or where to go. Yeah, I had a really bad time. So I might give some of the other Star Ocean games a try, but this first one, even the remake, didn't have such a good time, honestly. Now we have Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, the only Sword Art Online game here. This game, it was all right. It kind of reminded me of Freedom Wars a little bit, but just not as good. We're actually going to put this a little higher because I think it was more playable than some of these other games, personally. Then we have Super Mario RPG. I have zero nostalgia for this game, but I think it was still a great game overall. Now, I think I'm going to put it... it's really hard to say. Because once you play the Paper Mario games, the Mario and Luigi games, Mario RPG just seems kind of like the prototype to all that kind of stuff. So we're just going to leave it here. It's still in great tier because it's still a great game, for sure. The World Ends With You, kind of meh. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the gameplay. But I really loved the presentation. The soundtrack was awesome. And just like the art style was awesome. That's what really saves this game from being in trash tier, because everything else about it I did not like. Okay, moving on. We only have 2 series left, but they're very extensive, and these 2 are my favorite RPG series so far. We have Trails in the Sky. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. So the first one was in fact a great game. It was a little slow, but I don't mind slow. So we're gonna still put it in great. Second chapter, absolutely amazing. We're gonna put this pretty high up here. Second chapter kind of blew me away a little bit. It was very, very good. Third chapter, there were some things I didn't like about it, but I did enjoy Kevin's story, his whole story arc. I liked the additional world building. I liked a lot about it. We're gonna say this was still overall a good game, and we're gonna put it a few spaces higher, right next to Fire Emblem. Then we have Zero. Zero was pretty amazing. Maybe not as good as Sky second chapter, but still quite good. As for Zero, let's put it a couple spaces higher. Trails to Azure. So this game was like an absolute banger. I absolutely loved it, and I feel like it kind of fumbled the ending a little bit. But it still ends up being a great game overall. So we're going to put this pretty high. It's still pretty high. It's just, there were some things about the ending I didn't really like. I was like, it was so close to being like a masterpiece. It was so close, and it just kind of, you know, at the end, didn't really dig it too much. Trails of Cold Steel 1. This was my first Trails game. My first Trails game, because there was a bit of a marketing push. I was just like, oh, what's this series? I had no idea. I will put this in great, and I'm going to put this actually really high. I have nostalgia for this. It's been 10 years, so of course. As for Cold Steel 2, this was like my favorite for a while. We'll get to that later, but the Cold Steel 2 was my favorite Trails game for the longest time, even after I had played the Sky games. Cold Steel 3, I did not appreciate it at the time because the Crossbell games, I don't think they were even out yet. So I was like, what's up with this Crossbell stuff? I had no idea. But now looking back, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So we're gonna put it in amazing. And I hate to tell you guys, but I'm one of those people who thought Cold Steel 4 was kind of meh. I had a lot of issues with it personally, but we're gonna at least put it at the top of meh. You know, it was all right. You know, there's lots of things I didn't like about it. But as for Trails into Reverie, this is probably the best Trails game I've played so far. I haven't played the Daybreak games yet. Oh my goodness. Like, we're putting this like way up here. It's almost a masterpiece. It's so close. It's like 1 inch away. So we're gonna have to put it right there. Xenogears. We're going into the Xeno series. Xenogears is very hard to place anywhere, and that's because the gameplay has aged like milk. Not in a good way. Not like aged like milk into yogurt. I'm talking it's just, you know, maybe it was never good. I don't know. But the story is just so amazing. The story carries it so hard. So we're gonna still have to put it in great tier. And we're gonna put it pretty darn high in great tier because, I mean, it was the story. It's probably the greatest story ever told, like ever. Xenosaga Episode 1 was great. Episode 2, it was a little lacking, but it was still a good game. I know a lot of people hate on it, but I did enjoy Episode 2. Episode 3, absolute masterpiece. This is probably one of the greatest RPGs like ever. We could go on and on about why, but I'll spare you. Xenoblade Chronicles 1, especially now that we have the definitive edition on Switch, was in fact amazing. Where would I put this? It's a little hard to say, but I put it probably right next to Earthbound and Cold Steel 2. Xenoblade Chronicles X, I played this game for 700 hours. So, after 700 hours, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put it in amazing. I know there's some issues, like people are like, oh, the story's not as strong and blah blah blah. Listen, I had a very good time with this game. So, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I was once a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 hater. However, I have seen the light. I have recognized Rex as Chadosaurus Rex, and so we're actually gonna place this higher. We're gonna put it in the good tier. All right, it's a good game. I used to really trash on the game, but I see there's a lot of good things about it. So we're gonna put it in the good tier. We're actually gonna put it a little higher, like right there. That seems good. But even better than Xenoblade 2 is Torna of the Golden Country, which I would say is actually a great game. I think it's at least a little bit better than the base game. Would highly recommend. It is not skippable. Do not skip Torna of the Golden Country just because it's DLC. It's very good. Future Connected, however, I don't know. It was a little meh. I mean, I love Melia. I was just happy to see her again. But honestly, this is probably the only Xeno game that you could probably skip and not really miss much of anything. If you can even call it a game, it's kind of like a epilogue that acts as its own game. Anyways, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I was in denial for a little while. But you know what? I think this might be my favorite Xenoblade game. Which is crazy to say because I loved the first one so much, and then the third one. There was just so much to it that I really loved. And finally, we have the DLC that is kind of its own game for Xenoblade 3 Future Redeemed. Masterpiece. This is the greatest piece of DLC to ever exist. Ever exist. And if you played every Xeno game in order up until this point, and then you played this game, you would understand. You would understand. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I had fun making this tier list here. I tried to kind of speed it up a bit. Wanted it to be less than half an hour. I enjoy lists. I enjoy watching people make lists. And so I wanted to make one myself because I like making content that I myself would like to watch. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. I have no idea what the next video is going to be. I just kind of put whatever I want on this channel. See you next time.